In this video, I think we can work on the delete event or the delete meetup slice. So we can create another slice over here under the features and work on that. First of all, let's run the application. Let's see where the delete should happen. So we have the application trying to reconnect, and let's just open up any event. Right? So we can have a delete button somewhere here on this added event page. And also we can have a delete button somewhere in this list. So we can have the delete button at those two different places. Now we're facing again a question that's related to the vertical slice architecture. So if we have the delete functionality on this component or on the other component, then the functionality will be mixed with other slices. So the vertical slice architecture will work better if you're working with let's say, an API application where there is a natural separation between different methods, right? Different HTTP methods, whether it's add or delete or a get. You have different methods for HTTP protocol. So that will work very well when you have vertical slice architecture. Whereas when you work with an application that has a UI, then you just have to work around it. And in this video, we are going to solve this problem. So I think it could be a very silly solution, but we can create a component that has a single delete button. And from there, we can implement our delete functionality. And then we have that single delete button as the component inside the slice. That will solve our problem, right? So we can work on that. That will be pretty fun. But first of all, before we create a component to do that, we want to, we want to allow the user to confirm, right? So I come over here and click on a delete button. Imagine there is a delete button here. I click on it. I want to confirm that I really want to delete this event, right? How do we do that? We can use JavaScript interop, but a better solution is actually to create a confirm component where we can maybe use Bootstrap modal dialog. So I have this Bootstrap page over here. If you go to documents, right, and then you go to component, and then you go to, you see here's a modal. So we do have a modal dialog look like this, but this modal works with JavaScript, but we can just modify it so that we don't have to rely on JavaScript, right? So let's first of all go ahead and create this component and let it work within that slice, and then we can extract it out into the delete event slice. Let's first of all copy this code. Let's click on this and copy that into our clipboard, and then let's go ahead and try to create a shared component. So we are in the shared folder here. Let's go ahead and create. Well, it doesn't work with, so let me pause the, and then let's resume the recording. So my recording software doesn't work very well. Sometimes right click doesn't work. So I have to pause the video and then right click and add the reserve component, and then I can resume. Okay, here I can call this confirm, right? Confirm dialog component. And then what I can do here is I can paste it right here. So having this, if we are going to just, let's say we're going to show it right here, right? We're going to just show it right here, and we're going to have our confirm component. And you are going to find out that this confirm component is not going to be displayed because I'm not doing anything. I'm just displaying this, right? In theory, this confirm component should just show up right at the bottom of the added component page. But as you can see, I'm refreshing this, and there's nothing at the bottom. That's because the code that we copied by default is basically an invisible dialog, because you have to use JavaScript to actually trigger the show up of the dialog. But the JavaScript is basically just adding some CSS class. So we can add that directly here. We can say, show up as a block, right? And this will just make it show up. And if we run it again, you will find that it's basically showing up right here, right? And then you can't actually click on all of this is because this is a modal dialog. That's pretty good, right? However, I want to make it better. I want to have a backdrop, right? Basically, gray out the background. So I can have model backdrop class right here. And then I can add a style. I want to change the background color, specify the background color. Otherwise, it's just going to be white. And I can use RGBA, and then I say 0, 0, 0, 0.5, and that's it. So with this change, I'm going to have a gray background, and the backdrop is going to just show up like this. And it's very clear where your dialog is. And you should be able to, work on these buttons and pass in some messages. So let's continue working on those things. So here, this is a confirm dialog. So I'm gonna just say this is a confirm message, confirm title on the very top. Now, this is the modal body. This is where the message goes, right? But I cannot hardcode the message. I'm gonna just call it. Let's say this is the just the confirm message, and then we can declare this confirm message at the bottom over here, and we can say it's a private string and confirm message. Well, I don't want to initialize it, and I can create a public method to actually show the message, and it is actually generating for me, right? And then it generates this line. Because you see, when we call this, well, once we call this, we'll explain why this needs to be here. But this show method basically does the thing. We pass the message from the parent to inside, and then we're going to display this. But this is always going to be displayed. We have to hide it. So by default, it should be invisible. So what we can do is we can declare another boolean. We can say show dialog, right? And then over here we can say show dialog. It's automatically generating it, right? It was generating it, yeah. So we can do that, and then we can wrap around it with this show dialog thing, and move the curly brace to the bottom. Let's format that. Okay, so this is good. Let's remove some spaces here and here as well. So what this is called, the dialog is going to show up, but it needs to be closed too. So what we can do is come over here and we say add sign, click. So if you don't add this add sign, if you just do this, it's not going to work. It's going to be considered as a JavaScript, but this is C#. This is Blazor. So here I'm going to just say cancel, and I'm going to copy this to this close button as well. So both of them will have the cancel method. I don't think the cancel method needs to be public, so I'm going to change it to private. And then you can see that once this is triggered, we're going to reset this, and then we say status changed, right? And this is going to be disappearing, right? We have to call status changed. Well, in this case, we may not need to, because we are triggering it inside, right? But in this case, this is called by the parent component. So this case may be different. You know what? Let's delete this line and let's just see what happens if we don't have the status changed. So now let's go to the added event component, and we have this confirm dialog. In fact, you can put it at the bottom, you can put it on the top, doesn't really matter. Let's keep it at the bottom. And what are we going to do here? We're going to actually add a delete button over here. So we don't need the else statement. We need the event view model to be there in order to have the delete button. Otherwise, we have nothing to delete. So the delete button needs to be inside here. So you can see it tries to generate a update event, but I'm gonna call it delete. Okay, so this is going to be delete. Eventually, we're going to extract this into a slice. Right now, I just want to experiment with our confirmation dialog. So this confirmation dialog needs to have a reference. And I'm going to call it just confirm dialog component, but with lowercase, I guess. That would be better. I don't know. Doesn't really matter to me. So here on the top, I can have another private component definition, just like that, another question mark, and then here I'll add a semicolon. And what we can do is to implement this delete, and then eventually we're going to delete it. We're going to remove this delete, and it's trying to generate this for me, right? So this should be enough. We should be able to just test it right now. Let's go ahead, and it should be by default invisible. So let's take a look. All right, so we have this one right here, and the delete button is showing up right here. It's stick together, but that doesn't matter. We will change this later. So let's click on delete, and see, it's not actually happening, right? But what we are going to do, first of all, let's actually fix this problem by adding a line break here, and then we're going to fix the other problem. Let's go inside the definition of the confirm component, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to have state has changed, and run it again. All right, you can see this is updated. We have spacing here, and click on the delete button, triggered this. So what this means is that you see this delete not here. The let's go back to edit event component here. So this delete button, event handler here, right here, although it's supposed to re-render the component, but it only re-renders the parent component. It doesn't re-render the child component. So in order to actually re-render the child component, we had to add the state has changed method right here. But this cancel, let's watch what happens if I click on the cancel. If I click on this close button, and this will in turn trigger the cancel event, right? You see, it just disappears. I don't need a state has changed method here. It's just because this is a event handler, and it's supposed to, a event handler is supposed to re-render the component, right? And then because we changed this to false, therefore here just disappears. Okay, so that's good. Now what we need to do is we need to change this wordings here. So we can change this one to cancel and this one to yes, because we are asking a question. We're asking a confirmation from the user, right? So we have the message display, that's pretty good, but what if the person click on the yes button, right? So I'm going to say on click, and then I'm going to say confirm, and I'm going to come down to implement this confirm functionality right here. So it's trying to generate some code. Let's try to see what AI can do for me. All right, it generated this. So show dialog false. This again, we don't need the status changed. So add logic to handle confirmation action here. So for that, what I need is a action delegate. So I'm gonna have a action delegate, and I'm gonna say on confirm, right? And I need the action delegate to be passed in from the show method. So I'm gonna say action. So on confirm, and then I'm gonna say this dot on confirm equals confirm right here, and I'm gonna say if I don't have to do that. I'm just going to invoke it with a question mark, right? I don't have to check whether this is null or not. Okay, so this will execute the action that is passed in from outside, right? So let's go over here and then go up over here, and let's pass in a action. Just make sure our code execute as what we thought. So let's just have whatever whatever thing here. Doesn't really matter. I'm just testing. I'm going to set a breakpoint, make sure this is going to be triggered. Then we are ready to use the confirm component in our actual slice. So let's run the application in debug mode. And we have this new browser. We can add any event. And then we come up here, click on the delete button. Click on this, test it, it works. Click on this, test it, it works. And it says, are you sure you want to delete this event? So if I say yes, okay, and you can see this breakpoint is triggered. That means our confirm dialog component works perfectly. So let's stop debugging and let's thinking about creating the actual delete event slice. So let's go ahead and create a folder. Okay, now it works. And I mean, it doesn't affect, the recording doesn't affect this creating the folder. So I'm going to say this is a delete event slice. And inside a delete event slice, I'm going to create, it doesn't work again. So I'm going to pause the video and then create a new Blazor component. And I'm going to just call it delete event component. Right? So this looks pretty weird. This is going to look pretty weird because right here in this component, I'm going to just have one button. Although it looks pretty weird, it does solve the problem. And we don't have to have the delete slice scattered in other slices. So I'm going to go ahead and create this button. And so we can have it as a primary button. And it's going to be called, I guess I can just call it delete. But hold on a second. So this button is going to be used in two different places. So on the edit event page, this can be a primary button, but in the list, I want it to be a link. So to solve this problem, I think I can just create a button class. So I can come over here and I say, this is a parameter. And then this is going to be a string. And we're going to have this button class. And we're going to use this button class for the class. So just like this. It's a very simple solution. And we're going to delete the event right here. All right, we can say handle delete. And then let's just go ahead, cut this event over. Go over here. And now we're going to go over here again and cut this thing over. And just put it anywhere. And again, we're going to go inside here and cut this line over. Well, copy this line over is fine too. So I'm going to put it here. And you sure you want to delete this event? And so if you want to show the event name right here, it's certainly possible to do so. You can create another parameter passing the event view model, and then you can get the event view name, right? Or you can just have the event view name as a parameter, right? I mean the event name as the parameter, and then you can display it right here. I think we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. Just so that the user knows which event is going to be deleted, right? So we can say string, and then we can say event name. Well, I should use the property thing. But anyways, so delete this event, and then we can have a colon, and then we can use the string interpolation right here, and then put the event name right here. So then inside this, we are going to handle the actual deletion. But before we do that, let's make this one work. Okay, and then what I would do is I will go over here and actually roll back this thing. Roll it back. Now I'm going to go inside here again, and then, well, I just need to go to the delete event component here. Not this one. Add a event component here. And what I would do is inside this, I'm going to add line break, and then I'm going to add the delete event component. And for this thing, this namespace, I'm going to cut it and put it into here. Well, I guess, yeah. You can actually create a separate import for this particular folder for each particular feature, right? but it doesn't really matter. I can share it right here. Well, sharing this thing, let me go there again. So sharing this username means that the services are available, or the components are available in other slices. So we just have to be careful if we do decide to do it. So we have the delete event component right here, right? And then we have the button class. And for this one, I'm going to say this is btn-primary, and the event name is the _ event view model dot name, or title actually. Okay, this is good. Let's give it a try. We're not actually deleting it. We haven't implemented the delete event service yet. So we'll wait till we make sure the UI. So let's click on any event, and then we see this delete button looks pretty good, right? And then click on the delete. We see this confirm dialog. We test the cancel, test this cancel, and make sure the message is correct, right? Are you sure you want to delete this event? So that's pretty good. And then if we click on yes, everything works. Now I need to also make this delete component. So I'm going to actually, okay, I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it into this component. Well, starting from here, it's already a little bit weird, but I guess this is it's not avoidable, because you can see that we are sharing this component in other slices, right? I mean, we're sharing this delete event component in other slices, and this is actually inside the delete event slice, but we're sharing it with the edit, with the edit, as well as the view. That's not avoidable. Otherwise, you will have your delete functionality go into the other slices. So I think it's okay to share the UI, right? Although, because we actually encapsulated both the UI and the functionality inside this one slice, but then we're going to share the component with other components. I think that's okay. I personally do think that's okay. Because when we work with vertical slice architecture, we do have to encounter this kind of issue, and we need to come up with a practical solution, right? And I think this practical solution works. All right, so let's go to view created events component, which I'm right here. And then we need to have the delete button somewhere, and we can have a empty column right here. And then at the bottom here, I can have another TD, right? Another TD. And then inside this TD, I can place this component. The class here is link, and the title is basically the created event title. Okay, and now let's run it. All right, so let's cancel, go over to here, and you can see all of the delete button. And if I click on this Meet 11, we'll try to delete this Meetup 11. And you can see we're trying to delete Meetup 11, right? And over here, we're trying to delete SQL discussion. The problem is that I just see one problem here is that we don't actually know which event to delete. We just know the name. So that's something we need to solve. So let's go over here. We have multiple solutions here. We can pass the entire view model, or we can just pass in another parameter. And this is going to be a event ID, right? And then we go over here, better separating them. We pass in the event ID, and say again _ event view model dot event ID. And here we actually don't need this @ sign. It's okay to have the @ sign, but it's not necessary. And again, get over here and let's make it look slightly better by separating them. And over here, event ID equals the created event dot event ID. Again, we don't need this @ sign. It's not necessary. And we have the event ID passed into the delete component. Now we just need to work on deleting the actual event. So let's go over here. In a real application, you probably want to disable the event, deactivate the event instead of delete. And also if the event is in the past, you probably don't want to delete the event, right? We're probably going to, implement the logic that if the event is in the past, we do not allow the user to actually delete the event. So seeing this type of functionality, I think what I would do is, I'm sorry that I'm going back and forth, but this is what's happening in the real development. I haven't thought about everything when I start recording the video. So I'm going to create a property here, and then I'm going to pass in the event view model. So this will solve all of our problems, right? We don't have to worry about a missing property when we need them. Okay, so now let's go over here and let's change this. We don't have these two. We have the event view model equal to the underscore event view model. Nice. Let's go over here, and we don't have these two. We're gonna have our event view model equals to the created event. Okay, good enough. Let's go inside to the delete event component, and we're gonna solve one problem over here. This is the event view model dot title. Okay, this is what we need here. And then we're gonna actually try to delete event when the user click on the confirm button. And for that purpose, we will have to create a delete event service, just like this. So what I'll do is I'm gonna copy the created, copy the class. And then I'm gonna right click on this and try to click, and this time actually it works. So this is the delete event service, and I'm going to just replace it with create and then change the name. Okay, now this is not a create async, this is gonna be the delete async. Do I need a whole view model? I can, but it's not necessary. So I'm gonna have the event ID over here, and then I will say, I have the context, and then I say just delete for me. Use the UI. I'm getting lazy now. Delete the event with Entity Framework Core. You see, generate the code, and then generate the next lines. So if it found the event, then it's going to remove it, and then it's going to save it. So which means that it's going to delete it. If it doesn't find it, we need to display an error message. So we do have an error message component, right? Well, for displaying the error message, we can actually create another one. We can say task. So to here, we can have boolean, right? And then we're gonna return true from here, but then return false at the bottom. And we can register this in the program.cs, okay? And do a control dot import namespace. Now let's go back to our slice over here in the component, and this is where we can use it. So dependency injected first. Inject. Well, navigation manager, we're gonna use it. We're gonna inject it for now. Delete service. So delete service, and then we can say delete event async, right? And then we pass in the event ID. I'm gonna say this dot event view model dot event ID. Well, I don't need this. I need to use await. Okay, so in task, and I'm gonna rewrite it and see what it does for me. So delete event service, delete, and well, I still generate continuous. I don't like continuous. Let's just use await. Why don't we use await? So I'm gonna pass in the event view model dot event ID. I'm gonna delete this generated code. So this event view model, what is causing the problem? Oh, we deleted actual. I'm not too sure why it generated this problem. Let me revert the code. That's better. Event view model, event ID, and let's go over here and let's add a question mark here. And yeah, that should be okay. Maybe we can add a validation on top. If it's null, then we return false. Yep, coming back over here, we're gonna await it, and it's generated this rescue line. The await operator can only be used with an async. Okay, so this is not this async. It is this async. Okay. All right. Now after the deletion, we can navigate to /events, right? And do we have /events? I think it's the home page. Later we might need to change it. This shouldn't be the home page. But I want to say if this is true, right? If the deletion is actually finished properly, then I want to do it. Otherwise, we can display an error message. And the deletion of the error message, displaying the error message. Do we have it here? Error message component, right? We have it here. Where do we want to display it? Maybe at the bottom here. It wouldn't be very nice for the list, but let's observe. Let's observe what's going to happen here. So let's have a private error message, and then I'm going to say error message is failed to delete the event. We don't know what exactly is happening. But we're gonna bind this to it. That's it. Should be okay. Yeah, we don't need this async. This can be avoided because this is async. All right, let's give it a try first. So we're here, and then let's try to delete this meetup 11 here and cancel. And now try to delete it. Now it actually refreshed. And is it still there? It is still there. So what is actually happening? Oh, no, it's not still there. Okay, so what we need is when we navigate to it, we're gonna say, force load equals true. This should solve the problem. But remember, don't delete the past event. We're gonna implement that logic. Okay, now let's try to delete, let's say this event 6. Are you sure you want to delete event 6? Yes. Now I've refreshed that, and event 6 is well, we have many event 6, so we don't know. Let's say we delete the 5th event. There's only one, and the 5th event is gone, right? If we refresh, you see it's actually deleted from the database. I don't think I need to pull out the database and prove. All right, so let's delete this Blazor event and click on this, and you can see the Blazor course cover image is gone. Now this delete functionality is working, but we do need to validate, and the error message is being showed from outside, right? So I think outside, it just means the delete button. So we don't have a problem with this yet, so we can't actually generate this. We don't know what the error message look like. So what we can do is try to implement a logic for deleting a past event. So we can go into this delete event service, and we can create another one. We can say boolean is event deletable, right? Event ID. So we can implement such logic. Well, with this kind of logic, it's basically for the delete event, it's going into the database and retrieve the entity twice. You can see that it retrieved the entity first here, and then it retrieved the entity here. So it's not that good, but I would say I wouldn't want it to return the entity from here unless there is a performance concern. Right now there isn't. There's just no users. But I wouldn't want to be so concerned about performance at the beginning, and I only want to be concerned about the performance when potentially there is. But when there is, we can simply just change this. So I like this refactoring practice instead of too much fixated to the book and always thinking about everything at the beginning. That will slow down our development process. That's my personal perspective. You can be different. So event ID, if it's null, then false, of course. And then we get the context, and then we try to get the event entity. If it's not null, then the event is no. This is not right. Wow, it generated this comment for me. Check if the event is in the past. Okay, now it generated the code for me. So Let's verify. So if the begin date is in the past, right? In the past from now, and or there's a or here. If the begin date is equal, okay. So these two is a group. So if it's equal, it's the same day, but the time is in the past. That's a good logic. And return false. So if the begin date is in the past, then it's false. Otherwise, it's true. Okay. And if it's now, then it returns false. Okay. So with this implemented, then I can go to the delete component here. What I would do is I will first validate it. The delete event service is event deletable, and if it's false, then we generate this error message. We don't need this. That's good, right? You cannot delete this. The event has already happened. Delete an event has already happened. Why we cannot delete event that already happened? Well, it really depends on your requirement. I'm just making the case slightly complicated because you see that when you have an event that already in the past, you have people associated with the event, you have payment potentially associated with the event. You just don't want to delete all of the records, right? You want to keep them. And then when the database is pretty big, you can think about archiving the database, but you shouldn't be thinking about deleting the event. When there's so many events in the future, your database querying or the discovering functionality may slow down, right? And that's when you might think about archiving. And if you don't want to think about archiving, you can create an index based on date, right? And then your discovery should be utilizing the dates. It will improve the performance. But eventually, when there are millions of events, you might just think about just archive those old events that is 5 years old or even just 2 years old. You probably want to just even 1 year old. You move those events into another database. But that database could be like a slower database. It could be a cheaper database where it's, when you buy database from Azure, you can make it hot. You can make it I don't remember the terms, but the hot databases are more expensive, way more expensive. So that's the reason. So I'm pretty sure we have some databases already happened in the past, and I want to see what the error message look like, especially on the list, and whether that's acceptable or not. Right. So here, see, this is begin time. That's yesterday. So I'm going to click on this, and it doesn't actually delete. doesn't delete it. It doesn't say anything. It could be because of the this is the delegate, right? It's not part of the delete event handling. Therefore, we want to do a state has rendered. State has changed, and I'm going to do the same thing here. So let's run again. Make sure it happens. Okay. So let's try this event again. And click on yes, and we see this. You cannot delete an event that has already happened. This pushes the entire thing to the left. Well, it still looks okay at this moment, but what if we make it smaller? Well, it still looks okay. Yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah, if you delete a event, it will just refresh the page and this will be gone. That's fine. But if you go inside here, let's test it again. Delete and click on yes, and where is this? This is right here. You cannot delete an event. Let's refresh. I didn't see it at the beginning. Oh, I have to scroll down. That's not so good. So this the top, and I don't like the line break. Try to see what happens now. Okay, now I'm gonna do this, delete it. Now it shows up here. That's good. So let's go back to the list. I'm going to try to delete it again. Now it shows up on the top. That's fine. It's fine. And we have this way earlier. The same thing here. All right. I think we implemented our functionality of deleting the event. And we have been playing with vertical slice architecture. And we have been working around all issues. I like the vertical slice architecture so far in terms of how separated all of the slices are. And also, I like it in terms of how coherent everything that is within the slice, right? Especially, I don't have to jump around the solution to find the files that I need to work on. Everything is within this folder, almost everything. Of course, we have shared components, but the shared components is just basically in this one folder. The other ones, we have this view models folder that we need to play with, we need to work with. But other than those, we constantly just work with these couple files, right? Couple files in each slice. And of course, we need to work around a lot of issues that related with this high cohesion within this folder and less cohesion, less sharing between the slices. But that's just the nature. We cannot get everything. Okay, I think it's pretty good. We'll stop the recording and we'll continue working on this project from the next video.